Let me pull up my page and try to share it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jocks of All Trades podcast. I am Brad, and this is another Monday edition of Jock Talk. We are joined by a few people today, but I think the most important one is down at the bottom of the screen.
No way, I'm on the top.
Super fan.
I'm on the. Hey, the most important one's over here. I know I'm interrupting you, but I'm over here. That's my cousin. Man. That's my
man.
Family right there. So go ahead.
Bama super fan and YouTube personality Funnymaine Johnson is here with us. Thank you so much for coming. It is awesome. I've talked about it maybe for the past 48 hours straight, probably. But we're excited to have you here, man, and talk some football.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me. Y'all been nothing but pleasant so far. So I hope it stays that way. I know y'all gonna get on camera eventually, but yeah, man, let's have some fun.
Cool. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the buzz. You know how it is. Okay, so I've been on this man ever since he got into the NFL. Let's talk about it. Is Trevor Lawrence finally the real deal, or is he just looking like the real deal? What did y'all take away from Sunday?
I think he's like most highly drafted quarterbacks. He's a good quarterback in a terrible organization. And we're probably not going to get to see how good he could be until he gets around, a front office that knows what they're doing. So that's pretty much the standard. No great quarterback just comes into a good situation. It's rare, but I think that's what's going on with him. I saw the kid play live in person at the Natty versus LSU a few years ago. He's the real deal. He's talented.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, that was a very good game. As someone, as an Ohio State fan in the room, 2019 hurts me very, very deeply. But no, I would agree that Trevor Lawrence is showing flashes of being very, very good. I would again agree with our man Funnymaine and say he just is not in by any means the best organization. My man Justin Fields is in a similar situation over in Chicago. And I think when you have a young QB like that, it is imperative first that you get a quality O-line, worry about protection, and then give him the weapons that he needs. And it's really bad because I don't think Justin has either of those two things. And while Trevor might have a weapon or two, maybe, he certainly doesn't have the O-line.
For sure.
I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the Ravens. This is just me. I know the conversation is about Trevor Lawrence, but I mean the wins that he's pulling against these teams that he's not supposed to be beating are because he's not supposed to be beating them. Like the Ravens have 4-5 losses, and 3 of them at the very least nobody expected them to win those or to lose those games. Like the Ravens are underperforming, especially lower than what they're supposed to be. And so I think that has more to do with the loss than anything. Although Justin Tucker almost kicked a 67-yard field goal yesterday and was probably short by about 2.5 yards. So they probably still should have lost that game because he probably still makes that kick any other day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if he's doing anything in particular. I know the Eagles made him look silly, but we're doing that to a lot of teams. 10-1, shout out. But he's not doing anything. I don't think that's the one you wanted. I don't think he's doing anything spectacular this season any more so than anyone else. So I don't know if he's the real deal. I mean, he's cool. He's young. I think, like everybody's saying, they need a lot of pieces, but I don't know if he's that guy yet.
Well, I think the Ravens might have been a bad example because to give it proper context, you forgot about the internal strife going on with the Ravens and Lamar's contract and all of this stuff with his tweet yesterday. So they got their own issues going on. The Ravens may be, headed toward a downslope. So again, I think Trevor Lawrence is talented. I know what he did to us in the championship game not too long ago. So I'll give him his credit, but it takes a lot to be a good team in the NFL for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would agree. I would concur.
All righty, guys. Let's talk about the Jets benched Zach Wilson, and then Mike White goes off. Is he done in New York? Is Wilson done?
I mean, in all seriousness, all it takes is for one hit to go slightly wrong, an ankle to twist slightly the wrong way, and Zach Wilson is right back in the driver's seat. I'm not wishing that on anyone. I'm just saying that is the state of things in the NFL. So I would by no means say that he is like done, but he has his work cut out for him. He has to prove in practice and in the opportunities he does see on the field of play that he is the better QB and that he is better for the culture. He's better for the locker room and all of that. Because one thing that Zach Wilson has done really well is he's drawn attention away from his performance on the field to all of the things that's been going on off the field, whether they be good or bad or just spicy. So I would say that he has some proving of himself to do. I think he's a good enough QB. I mean, he was doing really well at the beginning of the season. He just needs to get back in the saddle and keep striving for what he's supposed to be doing.
You hit the one word I was going to talk about, locker room. I'm wondering what's going on in that locker room. Is he not just commanding his guys enough to the fact that they benched him? I remember I had a talk at Magic City Classic a couple of years ago. I was on the sideline. Bama's usually off for that game. Calvin really was on the sideline. I believe Jalen was the starter. Tua was on the bench. And I just asked him about, how he felt about the two quarterback thing. And he was like, man, I got to get that ball. And that always stuck with me. It's like receivers don't really care. They just want the guy that can get them the ball the most. And if they feel like Wilson ain't that guy, then he'll lose that locker room. But, White, he did his thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Aubin, your thoughts?
I mean, all right. So here's the thing. The Jets are much improved as a team, but they're not that much better than any other team in the NFL. Like they've got a couple good wins. They beat the Bills. They're having a better season than we're typically used to seeing. But let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. Let's not act like the Jets are everything and that the quarterback is they got a lot of problems on both sides of the ball, and it's more than just Zach Wilson. So I think it's funny we're in the previous segment we're talking about, is Trevor Lawrence the guy or is he not the guy? And we're giving him credit for playing in a bad organization as a good quarterback. I mean, it's not like he walked into the Steelers organization. It's not like he walked into the Patriots organization. These organizations that have a history of success and winning and good coaching and good fan light, like that's, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's walking into a situation that was set up for him to succeed. And we're looking at Wilson, a young kid. He was young coming out of BYU. And this is only his second year in the league, but we got to give him time. I mean, and that's the unfortunate thing about a lot of the rookies that come out. They're coming out of college. Like these dudes are 21 years old, coming into the NFL playing against grown men, and we put so much expectation of them in their first 2 years, commanding a team with a new offense, like a new coaching staff, a new like everything that they've not. But these kids are kids, man. They're going against grown men, and so they're gonna have bad games, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're gonna look silly. But we got to give him time. I don't think he's doing anything incredible, but again, he needs time to. Not everybody can be Jalen Hurts in year 3 and taking his team to the top. Like not everyone has that. It's just not in everyone. You got to give people time.
I agree with you, but I'm pretty sure every player would tell you the NFL is not a patient league.
No,
you're right. A lot of first year coaches got fired in the past 3 seasons, and it looks like another one may be out soon. So It's just not a patient league, man. Once you sign that dotted line and they hand you a bag of cash, it's go.
I hear you.
It's performance.
Yeah.
It's
But
performance.
you're not wrong though. I want to say that you're not wrong. But
no, I completely agree. It's like it is a hard deal. The thing is, you look at some of the other QBs that have come. Alvin, you talked about coming in and not being in the best position. You're not in the Steelers organization. You're not in the Patriots organization. You're in the Jets organization. And while that is true, you have other young quarterbacks coming in to the league who come into also pretty crappy situations. Again, case in point, Trevor Lawrence coming into the Jags organization, Justin Fields coming into the Bears organization. And those QBs, even though, again, some of them are just kind of barely now finding success. Justin Fields is starting to look a little bit better now. Trevor Lawrence is maybe starting to find his groove. They worked hard and they got the love of the locker room right away just by how hard they were working right out of the game. And with just marginal returns on investment when it comes to performance. Zach Wilson had more than enough performance to justify him being as young as he is. I think it was some of that outside locker room, off the field stuff that was kind of his undoing mostly.
Well, and again, just there's one more thing I just want to throw in. It's like we're talking about a quarterback from Brigham Young University. Let's just be honest. Let's just call a spade a spade. We're talking about a school that's not known as a quarterback school, getting this kid who put on a phenomenal pro day, throwing some things that his draft stock shot up so fast. In any other draft, he's probably not the number 2 overall pick. You know what I'm saying? Like he's probably taken like a Jalen, taken in the second round. You know what I'm saying? Like his stock rose probably too quick, and people hyped him up probably too much, too fast, and they just took what they were seeing at face value. But again, all these things, everybody's right in everything they're saying. I'm just saying he might need more time to develop. And again, he's a kid, so the maturity and the knowing how to command a locker room, that you can learn that. Now, the NFL is not a patient league. Funny man, you said it right. Like the NFL is not a patient league, but somebody's got to give him a chance somewhere. And putting a rookie QB with a rookie head coach and expecting everything to work out fine. I mean, come on,
rough.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, you want to comment on the whole Zach Wilson situation? I know you've been dealing with some technical issues.
I'd love to. I've been trying to keep up as best as I could, and my internet just hates me. I don't know. I think he's going to need a new change of scenery, because if you can win on any given Sunday with anybody, that doesn't look, regardless of where you drafted him or how much time you feel that he needs. I just think the Jets have been losing for so long. Can you really hang your hat on a guy that may not be the guy? It's better, I think, to trade him, get some assets, and build what you have instead of continually pouring into somebody that may not give you what you're looking for. So I could be the odd man out here. I caught bits and pieces while I was trying to fix it. But I don't think Wilson is going to be the guy. He's not Joe Namath, all right? Like, this isn't like the next big guy. So I don't like him. That's my problem. I just don't like him.
Zach Wilson that beat the Bills a couple weeks ago. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. It's the same Zach Wilson that beat who many argue would be the top 3 team in the league. I'm just throwing that out there. Not much has changed from 4 weeks ago to now.
And the Lions almost beat them on Thanksgiving. So
everyone is beatable. Everyone is beatable.
Old.
Especially in the league. Absolutely.
There you go.
It's true.
All right.
This one's a fun one. I can't wait to ask everybody this. Broncos fan, the first move blank.
Okay,
it was a little choppy.
Did that come through?
Yeah, not a problem. I can read it real quick. If I'm a Broncos fan, the first move I'd make to help the team is blank. And I open it up to the floor for discussion.
Yeah, we just talked about first-year head coaches, man, and if you look at, the Broncos fans and what they're talking about, they're blaming the coach. A lot of them think Russell Wilson still has the juice. They just think it's something wrong. They did not like the Melvin Gordon situation, so a lot of them are ready to get rid of that coach. And the coach gave up his play calling abilities, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, to one of the assistants. So not looking good for him.
Yeah, Aubin.
Again, we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about a not great franchise historically outside of the Peyton Manning, John Elway years. Like, we're not looking at a phenomenally consistently great franchise, consistently middle of the pack outside of a couple spans of seasons. Like, they're not like they're probably performing about as well as they would if anyone else was at quarterback. I think what it is right now you were expecting Russell Wilson, a former MVP, a former Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP. Like, you're expecting him to be able to come in and do great things, and he should, because I believe in Russ, like at least I did before the season. Again, you're expecting this guy who's played his entire professional career in a different organization with different coaches. Maybe Pete Carroll was just that guy. Maybe he was able to get more out of him than any other. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So what would I change? I'd put John Elway in at quarterback and see if they can create any modicum of success.
I gotta say, in my lifetime, the Broncos have never been like a bottom feeder. They've always been great. 80s, 90s, had a run. This franchise was so solid, they allowed Tim Tebow to win a playoff game. So,
and Nick it ain't. Let's just call that. Let's just remind. I don't know. Anybody can win the game.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the Broncos, they're pretty. Like, you're going into a good situation where a city has a lot of fans that are going to support that team, come hell or high water. They've got the history. You've got a legend up there as the GM. To me, they've got a lot of the pieces in place. I just think they're in a transition right now. And I think they wanted Russell Wilson to be Peyton Manning. And that's just not panning out.
Right.
All right.
Brad, you in?
Well, the first thing I do is get the Broncos organization out of the hands of the Waltons. I mean, it's Walmart. You're going to start getting the cheapest brand of football that you can get. And I think Russell Wilson is doing a great job with that right now. I'm kidding. I love Russ. I really do. But I think the problem is with management, not with the team. You've got a great young defense. You've got a plethora of wide receivers. You got good running backs in Javonte Williams, and I don't know who now because they dropped Melvin Gordon. But somebody behind there is probably good. But I'm just saying, you have a good, decent team. If you can't make it happen, it's either the play calling, a la Alabama this entire season, or on the other hand, it is the organization. And I'm going to say that organization has been around for so long, and Elway has been in control for so long, that nothing has been positive for them in quarterback decisions, in successful runs, other than the Peyton Manning thing. That was it. That is the only claim to fame that they have. So I think at this point, you really have to self-reflect and say, we're not winning football games. We're not winning at all. It's time to overhaul and start over. I mean, it's not an unsuccessful thing to happen. Look at Miami. The Dolphins right now switched a coordinator, got an O-line, and suddenly Tua looks like the next coming of Tom Brady. Like, you just got to make those moves, and I don't think that the Broncos have ever done that. So that would be my concern.
Wait. You don't think getting Russell Wilson was an elite move? I think they did a great job getting him in there. It hasn't panned out,
right?
But there was nothing saying this is a terrible decision.
I agree. I think they overpaid him. I think that's the only problem.
Yeah. Well, you can thank his agent for that.
Right. Those agents, man, they get money.
I mean, and I want to throw this out there because I like to know what I'm talking about when I say stuff, right? And I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I don't be following the Broncos worth nothing, right? Over the last 6 seasons in the NFL, the Broncos have only had one winning season. So the last time in 2015 they were 12-4, and that was their Super Bowl win, right? Super Bowl 50. Every year after that, 2016 9-7, 2017 5-11, 2018 6-10, 2019 7-9, 2020 5-11, and last year was 7-10. Since their Peyton Manning Super Bowl run, they are a losing franchise. And so, again, just like I said earlier, we're expecting, Funnymaine, you said it, we're expecting Russ to be Peyton Manning. They're not the same quarterback. Great quarterback, not Peyton Manning, maybe not the guy to come in and completely revolutionize a franchise that has been losing the last 6 seasons. And at their current rate, they're 3-8. They're probably going to end up just like they did in years prior, 7, and they might pick up a couple more wins throughout the season, and they'll end up right where they were the last 6 years. So
minus that bag.
Right. I mean, I guess I just had so much hope in the Broncos, because we definitely wanted Russell Wilson to come to the Saints to take the place of Drew Brees. But then when you looked at that secondary, man, with what Pat Surtain is doing, Kareem Jackson, Ronald Darby, like, you thought they were going to be a team this year, but it hasn't panned out on offense for whatever reason.
And if we forecast the rest of the season, so here it goes. They play the Ravens, who are losing to teams they shouldn't lose, right? They got the Ravens. They can maybe win that game. The Chiefs, they should get dog walked. Like, they should not have a chance against the Chiefs. So maybe let's get that 1-1, right? The Cardinals are a completely beatable team. Let's throw them a win. Let's give them a bone. That's 2-1. They play the Rams, who are also 3-8. Let's give them a win there. So that's 3-1. They play the Chiefs again. They'll get destroyed again. There's 3-2. And then they play the Chargers, who are playing just above average football. Let's give them a loss. Let's say they go 3-3 the rest of the season. That puts them at what? 6-11. 6-11, which is just about where they've been the last 6 seasons. So again, it's just, takes time for a franchise to gel, and he's just not gelling yet. So let's see what happens.
I'm guessing some of it also has to do. He has a very, very young wide receiver core.
Oh, there, absolutely.
Yeah, so a lot of that is you have this veteran QB who's trying to command respect of some of these younger guys. It might come easy in some cases, it might not in some others. He might be gradually building those relationships and that chemistry, but it probably is going to take more than 1 year and even a few games to get that up and running.
Yeah, and if these receivers are under the age of 24, they probably know Russell Wilson more for being Sierra's husband than they do for being a great quarterback. I'm being dead serious. Like,
he's true.
No,
yeah.
you're right. You're right.
So it might not, the respect could or could not be there in that locker room.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Funnymaine, I am just above that age. I am 25. I am a school teacher. I teach high school. I almost walked in front of a bus last year because I mentioned the name T-Pain, and my kids didn't know who T-Pain was.
Oh my God!
And it was almost it for your boy. I was almost. And then they knew T-Pain as a streamer, not as buy you a drink. In love with a stripper. I'm like, they're talking about his streaming. I'm like,
no.
Yeah.
I
give. Do you know there's a report out that he makes more from video streaming than he ever made in his music career. Not a joke. Yeah, but there's no way, dog. He made some timeless songs. There's no way they don't know his songs. Like,
I'm telling you, my heart hurt. I love T-Pain so much. This man put out a mixology cookbook. And I pre-ordered it. It's called "Can I Make You a Drink?"
About the drinks.
And I bought it. And I looked through it and knew that T-Pain was making way too much money because the ingredients that are up in that cocktail book can't touch it. I ain't got no business drinking what T-Pain's drinking. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man. Streaming is big to this young generation for sure.
Oh.
All right.
I'm not frozen for once. I'm going to take that small sliver of opportunity to keep going. Okay, so this has been the controversy of the week. I'm ready to talk about it. Was Hunter Henry's catch a touchdown or not?
No.
I have a nuanced opinion on this if people are willing to hear me out.
And I didn't watch
You
it.
always have a nuanced opinion, so that doesn't surprise me.
Okay, here's what it is. As I watch it, Hunter Henry has control of the ball when it hits the ground. With a catch, you're allowed to let the ball touch the ground as long as you still have control of it. It isn't until the ball comes back up off the ground, out of contact with the ground, that he bobbles it. But it still doesn't touch the ground after that point. He corrals it. So my opinion is it is a catch, but it isn't a catch until after the bobble, and the ball does not cross the plane until past that bobble. I would say it is a catch, but it is down at the 1 yard line.
After I looked at it, like over and over, or even in real time, I just thought it was just too much of that ball, on the ground. It did look like the portion of the ball that he had, it looked like he had it tight, but it was just too much meat on the ball for me touching the ground. And I had no dog in the fight, so I was like, nah, I don't think they're gonna call that a catch, and they didn't. And Alvin, you got to get up on NFL Red Zone, man. That's how you watch all the games. Like,
is this the one? It was the Patriots joint. That's the one we're looking at right now. Right, I'm watching I'm watching a clip right now. That's not a catch. There's no way that's a catch.
No, it didn't look like a catch.
And the ball. Let me see. The ball doesn't. I mean, his hand hits the ground right there. I don't even think a piece of the ball. What is not a catch is dude falls down on him while he's coming. The ball looks like it might hit the ground a little bit, but as he's rolling up, the ball literally rotates, like does a full 180. There's no way he has possession of that ball all the way through. You can't call that a possession. That's not a catch for sure. Definitely not. And funny man, I'll send you the bill for NFL Red Zone.
You can send it. That's not all you're gonna do. You can send it.
I'll send you any of the other bills so I can afford the Red Zone on top of everything else. I got you. Don't worry. I got you, baby.
Brad, your opinion. Is it a catch or isn't it?
No. It's not a catch. I just wanted to see what everybody else thought.
Good plan.
Zone me out again.
We can hear you. You just your video.
All right. That's fine. I'd take that over anything. All right. So I have to ask: Is Skull for real or not?
No.
Are we believing in Minnesota?
No. Only because I can't. Only because I can as an Eagles fan. I can't bring my. I mean, their losses to us.
I believe in Justin Jefferson. That's what I'm just going to leave it at that.
There you go.
He's making some amazing catches.
That one against the Bills.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Auburn. The Vikings maybe 5 years ago eliminated my Saints on that fluke last play catch run. I almost want to go against them, but I think they're absolutely for real, except for on one phase of the game, their kicking game. And there's a guy that used to play for Birmingham Stallions USFL here last year, who I think they've been trying to get him to sign a deal, but they've got to fix that kicking game, man. He's missing. That dude's been missing extra points, like 10 extra points this season. He's going to cost them a game unless they can get a sure-footed kicker in there.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, here's the thing. Ultimately, if Minnesota just keeps winning, we're going to be forced to believe in them at some point. And the fact that it's them and the Eagles at the top of the NFC is crazy to me. I would have never thought a team led a quarterback by Kirk Cousins.
No,
I mean, Justin Jefferson can be his wide receiver. That's fine. I still would not have believed it, but it's happening. It's happening. And I think, as long as it keeps happening, you have to respect it a little bit. I think Justin Jefferson has won them a crap ton of games. He is the face of the franchise, even more than probably anybody else on that roster, and including Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has not been.
Well, I'll make this prediction. To me, it looks like the winner of the Super Bowl is coming out of the NFC. The AFC, I'm just not seeing it. But when you look at the Vikings, I'll even throw the Cowboys in there, the Eagles, they're just looking like they got the juice right now. The AFC, you want to lean on the Chiefs, but they get shaky at times. The Dolphins look good, but they're young. I just feel like the winner is coming out of the NFC.
I can believe that. Although if you're going to make the young versus veteran argument, you could argue that the Dolphins are young. You could argue the Eagles are young because you have players like Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith on that roster. So, you do have some veterans. A.J. Brown is definitely a veteran, but some of the leadership is still young.
Is that all it takes? 4 years, all it takes to be a veteran in the NFL?
I'd say about 3 years is when you usually start hitting your stride if you're going to hit it. But you forgot that O-line for Philly is amazing.
The best O-line when they're healthy.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So that's what's really driving everything, that O-line. And then them meshing together personality-wise. I saw Jalen and one of the O-linemen last night. It wasn't Landon. It was the other guy.
Jason Kelce.
Yes, Kelsey. Yeah, they were having a love fest, and I was like, that's big. Like, that's really big for your O-line and you to be exchanging praises like that. And not only that, but just sitting at 10-1, that's, man, the sky's the limit for the Eagles.
Hopefully.
No pun intended. No bird puns intended.
If they can learn to stop the run and play a little bit better in the secondary. I mean, CJJ. I want to. Hey, a matter of fact, let's just take this time to just appreciate the New Orleans Saints for just a minute. Give them their flowers, because over the last, let's just look at the last 6 seasons. We got Darren Sproles, who was fantastic for Philly, Malcolm Jenkins, who was superb for Philadelphia, and now we got CJ Gardner-Johnson, who's leading the NFL in interceptions. I just appreciate, there is no team in the NFC I appreciate nearly as much as the New Orleans Saints. Must be why I'm an LSU fan. That must be something down there in the bayou. They're just doing something right, which is also why the Vikings have one of the best wide receivers to come in NFL. That's just another LSU prop right there. But anyway.
Yeah, you definitely hit on something I didn't want to. I was like, we give all of our good players to the Eagles, man. That CJG thing just really struck a chord with me. But as a Saints fan, we've learned once you start loving a player, they will ship him out of there. Like, they got rid of Jimmy Graham at the height of his popularity, Brandon Cooks, all of these guys, man, because we just don't have any money in New Orleans. We just don't. So we're shuffling people around. I've been scared for the longest they were going to get rid of Michael Thomas or Kamara, but that's just what they
both
do.
Those is coming.
Yeah, but we have spanked the Eagles a few times in the past decade in the playoffs. So
a broken clock is right twice a day, my man. A broken clock is right twice a day. I'm just saying.
We'll take it.
Hold. So, Brad, I want you to know that's my name too. That's my last name. We're the same, brother. I'm with you.
No, I was like, man, this is Brad.
That's what I said. I was like, I didn't comment. What is this?
This Brad.
Oh my God!
That blackface is gonna get you canceled, Brad. You gotta be careful.
Listen, don't. No.
Ouch!
Mayday! That was out of pocket, brother.
We're all gonna get canceled.
Yeah, we are.
I'm too young to get canceled.
This is why. Yeah, this is. What email, Brad? I'm sorry to interrupt this riveting conversation. What email did you send that to me on?
The ALG Johnson something.
The one didn't go through, so give me a second. Anyway, I also just want to throw this out real quick. We're talking about the Vikings and if they're real or not. When you have a talent like Justin Jefferson, it makes everyone look good. It makes Kirk Cousins look like a phenomenal quarterback, which we know he's a phenomenally average quarterback. Jeff George, I don't know if anybody knows the great Jeff George. Anybody recognize that name?
Yeah, from the old Falcon days. I believe he played for the Oilers at one point.
He played for the Vikings in Randy Moss's second year, and he threw for 2,600 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. I never heard this man's name I couldn't pick that name or face out of a lineup. So a great wide receiver can make you look like a great quarterback, and I think that's a lot of what we're seeing in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
If y'all didn't recognize Jeff George, if y'all didn't recognize Jeff George's name, I'm definitely the elder statesman on here.
I was three when the Vikings, so that just should put you into perspective.
Does Warren Moon ring a bell with you?
Yes,
Yes, a little bit.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he played the back end of his career with the Vikings, but he was an Oilers guy. So, yeah.
Yep. Long before the Texans. In a galaxy far, far away.
Oh my! We couldn't go one episode without Brad making Star Wars
let's talk about it. You're welcome. Talk about it because I know Funnymaine and I will be excited about this. Josh Jacobs had a big day, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is this the recipe to success for the Raiders that have been struggling really hard?
Duh. It should have been a recipe for success years. I mean, Josh Jacobs is a dog. That man should have 300. I mean, it was 300 all around. He had like 230 some yards rushing, which is insane. And another 100 some yards receiving. But I mean, Josh Jacobs has been the key to success before they got Devontae Adams. So he still should have been. I mean, you win when you run the football. If you have a successful running game, you should be able to win the game. Look. I'm gonna throw him out there again. Look at what Philly just did to the Packers last night. Jalen Hurts ran for 160 yards. Miles Sanders ran for 130 yards. You run the ball, and you have a better chance of being able to set up everything else. So Derek Carr, who has again not been phenomenal. You're not getting the ball to Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, those guys that have been there and been average and been, whatever. Run the ball, put the ball into that dog's hands, and you'll win football games. And this is what you get.
Did you say run the ball? By chance?
Trademark. We don't trademark. You'll be.
We need to be careful. We don't need to be paying this man royalties.
That's all right. I'm gonna send you that payment as soon as I get the payment for NFL Red Zone. I get a quid pro quo. All
right, that's fair. So I follow all my Bama guys. Like anybody that graduated, played for Bama, I follow them on socials. Some of them I have their cell numbers. Like we communicate. But let's
make that into it. I mean, just who's
that? We gonna call it the flexing hour. Nah, man, good guys. But Josh, if you follow him on social and in his private stories on the IG, he attributed his success not to coaching, not to his ability. He attributed to a fan. Who they play? Seattle.
Yeah.
He plays Seattle. So he says he came out of the tunnel and there's a fan from Seattle holding up a sign that says 3-7, not bad for a team with no talent. And so he said that just drove him. And then he went off, and toward the end, he was like, he found the fan and said, "Thank you, man. I needed that."
Ouch.
Big baller move.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got some Jordan energy to it, I think.
Oh man, that's got some. Hey, he dropped the pecans on that one. Right. And I took that personally.
Oh gosh, that would explain a lot, actually.
Yep. No, that would.
Yeah, he was like a man on fire yesterday, but he's consistently had some great games. I've had it on my fantasy squad. I think two years, maybe 1 or 2 years, and. When you get a fantasy guy, you really see what they're doing. And you looking at those numbers, you're like, yeah, this dude is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And he's been in the league for 4 years, and he's averaged 1,000 yards a season for the last 4 years. Last year, he only had 872, but he was dealing with some knee issues last year. So he's a 1,000-yard rusher, and that has been a key to a lot of team success. So just, I don't know, feed the beast. Just keep doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's been a hungry guy. For people that don't know, he's originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Was not recruited by Oklahoma State. Maybe got a last-minute offer from Tulsa after Bama started looking at him. So he's always had a chip on his shoulder. He was behind some great running backs, of course, at Alabama. And when he finally got his chance to shine, boy, did he. I think that guy from Oklahoma is still on the ground from him running over him because he takes stuff personal, man. So
Yeah.
for him to play like that, I've seen it in the kid for a while.
Yeah. He and B-Rob remind me of each other a little bit. Just that strong runner.
They got the hat. They both got big hats. That's what you're talking about?
Gosh.
Let me
I'm
text
going to just mute you for the rest of All right, I got one more, and then we're going to get out of the buzz. With Aaron Rodgers' injury, is this season his last dance?
No, he's going to end up in Oakland, or I'm sorry, Las Vegas. He's going to be out there with his boy Devontae Adams, and Derek Carr's going to go somewhere else. He's just working his way out. That's all. He just wants to be with Devontae Adams. That's his boy. That's his guy. He's just going to end up over there. It's his last dance with the Packers. Jordan Love is probably going to end up being there. He's been there for a while now, and he's not doing nothing while he's sitting there just being good. He came in a second play in the freaking game and threw a 60-yard touchdown pass. So now that was terrible defense on the Eagles. I'm not going to lie to you. There was no one on that side of the field. I don't know how he got so open, and that dude was fast. Watson is fast. Anyway, it's not his last season in the league, but it's his last season with the Packers.
I'm gonna strongly disagree. Number one, I think it would take so much money for a team to even, buy him or get him. I don't think it would happen. And I think there's a love that he has for Green Bay. Devontae is his guy, but I think he's got something to prove now. I don't think he wants to end his legacy on, what are they now, 3 and something, 4 and something?
Something like that. It's not.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is and I mean this in a pleasant way. He's an arrogant guy, so he's not just going to sit back and take everything that everybody's saying to him. As in his own words, relax, relax. I think he'll be back, and I think he'll have his team in the playoffs next year.
Yeah, no, I think he. Yeah, I do think he misses Devontae Adams. If not, it's like he needs a quality receiver on that field for him. I think he's got I think it could be a very similar thing going on with what's going on with Russell Wilson over in Denver. You have this older veteran QB who might have a few eccentricities, trying to connect with a lot of these young receivers, and it's sometimes the connection can be hard. Sometimes crafting the chemistry can be difficult. So we're going to, hopefully, maybe in the next year or so, we'll see Aaron Rodgers come back to form when the chemistry is there.
Well, Tom Brady looked like he can't really find chemistry with old receivers, so I don't know.
Well, that's because he's that much older than they are.
These are facts also, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's really what I think it is. I think a lot of things show what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he did sign an extension this offseason. It was only for 3 years. I think that tells you a lot. I think that 3 years knows that it's like we're either going to do it now or I'm gone. Sometime by the end of this contract, I'm out. I think that is one thing. I mean, in the same breath, I think he is so over the organization. Because whereas some other organizations seem to treat their stars a little bit better, surround them with I mean, when Brady was on the Patriots for all those years, he didn't have phenomenal weapons, and maybe he was the one that made them better, but it felt like they were always going to be consistent and that they were going to be right there. The Packers haven't had a real, I mean, outside of Devontae Adams, he was the only receiver in Green Bay for a very, very long time. And you're filling in other pieces here and there. Randall Cobb, when he's healthy. You had, boy's name. It's been a couple of years. But, Donald
Jordy
Driver. Jordy Nelson, those days. You've got these guys that on their own won't be good enough to win football games. And Aaron Rodgers has to be that much better. Outside of Devontae Adams, he was really their only true number one receiver that could go to any other team and be their number one receiver. And it just feels like they're not willing, the Packers, for whatever reason, they're not willing to surround him or able. Maybe people just don't really want to play in Green Bay. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that franchise that they're not getting the pieces that Aaron Rodgers needs to succeed. I mean, when you go out in a year where they lose a close game in the playoffs and they draft Jordan Love instead of surrounding him with talent at the wide receivers position, I think that shows a lot about what they think of him as a quarterback in terms of his longevity, his success in the program. I mean, they're just not surrounding him with pieces. Mike McCarthy was there forever. He goes to the Cowboys. They get Matt LaFleur to be their head coach. And if you watched First Take at all with my boy Stephen A. Smith, anytime after Matt LaFleur, as he would say, was signed there, you know, who is this random guy coming out of the West to come coach this team? Who is he? Did Aaron Rodgers have a say in that decision? I don't think that's his guy. I don't think they necessarily gel super well. I just think the organization makes a lot of decisions without taking into consideration you have one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game in a long time, and you're not helping him out the way you probably should.
Yeah.
So I think it's sooner rather than later that he gets out of the G. Sorry, Caleb.
Let's table NFL highlights for the night. We've talked NFL quite a bit, and I'm itching to get to college here with Funnymaine. Let's go to Spicy a Meatball. I will take that this week. This is our hot take segment for those of you that are joining us, but I didn't really want to call it hot take, and we all have jokes, Italian jokes, so oh well. It just ended up being Spicy a Meatball, and here we are. So guys, I have to say it. It's bothering me. Funnymaine, it's probably bothering you. Strength of schedule should be a bigger factor in college football playoff rankings. I said it. There it is. I don't think it's that important to them, and it doesn't show in their rankings. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I think it's been important. I think that's honestly what has kept the ACC and the Big 12 out of a lot of conversations. Well, the Pac-12,
Right.
because they just haven't been putting up quality teams. And I think when you don't win those divisions or those conferences outright, it's like we got nothing to talk about. Like, you had a cakewalk, whether you beat Clemson or TCU or even Oregon out west. Like, these are not the SEC West of the world that you're having to play every week. So when you don't go undefeated and win it, just move out the way. We'll put Cincinnati into the playoff. So I think they've been taking it into account, and I'm hoping that they take it into account one last time this year, because I'm taking off my crimson glasses, but I mean this. And I'm talking about Ohio State. Ohio State has one loss. Bama has two. But I think depending on what happens this week, they could be fighting for that fourth spot. You can't explain away why you lost by 22 at home to your rival. You just can't. I can explain why somebody goes to Neyland Stadium against Hendon Hooker and loses by a field goal at the last second. I can explain why you go to Death Valley, LSU, and lose in overtime on a 2-point conversion. You just cannot explain a 22-point home loss to Michigan.
You can, because Lou's about to try, but you should.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I hear you, my man, Funnymaine. I hear you. And so, as the lone Big Ten man here in the room, I'm
going to take a nap. Y'all go ahead.
Let me present the flip side of the coin.
Right.
Firstly, W's are W's and L's are L's. And Ohio State only has one. Bama has two. Number two, I think we can all remember last year, the score 41-24 should be familiar. That was the score where an undefeated Georgia lost by 3 scores to Alabama in the SEC championship game in Atlanta. That did not keep Georgia out of the playoff that year. Instead, they got to go to the playoff, and they met Alabama again in the national championship and beat them convincingly. So losing having a bad game late in the season, we've seen that in the SEC, it doesn't disqualify you. If they go and say it disqualifies you in the Big Ten, that's only going to fuel more fire of everyone saying that the media and the CFP committee is biased towards the SEC.
Because the SEC is better. But you have the better conference. Of course, they're going to look at those.
Says who?
I got this.
Everybody in the college football playoff rankings.
And we all know that the people in the CFP committee are utter brainiacs when it comes to football.
Spoken like the team that can't seem to get it done and get there. That's all I'm saying.
2014. That's all I'm going to say.
When you play Maryland, when you play Rutgers, when you play Toledo, Vanderbilt, when you play Tulsa, Kentucky. When you play – okay, listen, look. I'm just saying.
He's been a ranked team all year and last year.
Your biggest game was Michigan, and you did not look good. Stroud did not look good. The only thing that made Stroud look good was Marvin Harrison Jr. But look, you didn't look good. You lost convincingly. They're going to have to talk about it. It's not going to be it's just a one loss. They should go in. They're going to have to talk about it. And USC's knocking on the door behind them.
Okay.
They really are.
Here's the thing. Me, I'm always one for precedent. So let me bring up this point again. I think we all remember 2017. And you guys should love 2017. That was the year Alabama won the championship. But you will remember that in that year, Alabama didn't win their conference. They were a one-loss, 11-1 team that didn't even make it to Atlanta. Meanwhile, Ohio State is sitting over here as a two-loss conference champion in the Big Ten. So, and the committee took Alabama instead of Ohio State. So you're telling me that a one-loss non-conference champion Alabama, who didn't even make it to Atlanta, gets to go over a two-loss conference champion. But when the shoe is on the other foot, when Alabama has two losses and they're not even a conference champion, and Ohio State is sitting here at 11-1, that Alabama gets to go, the complete and utter biasness is unbelievable. And personally, I don't care about strength of schedule because when you're talking about two Power 5 conferences, you don't know which one is better. And you want to talk about, the SEC gets more talent. We've seen what talent has done for Texas A&M. So please don't talk to me like, getting all the best talent in the nation out of high school guarantees that you're going to be a good team. Texas A&M has put a dagger in the heart of that idea. So I am not a fan of the idea of Alabama, two-loss Alabama, getting in over a one-loss Ohio State. And I don't care if Ohio State lost 70-0. One L is one L, and two L's is two L's, and Alabama can hold both of them.
Luke, it's bad when my dad gets involved.
Yeah, let me. You said a lot, Luke. So let me try to rebut. First of all, Georgia did not beat Alabama convincingly. We were missing our top two receivers, Jamison Williams and Mechie, for the second half. Up until the fourth quarter, that was an absolute game until they got the pick six. So it wasn't anything convincing about that. You keep saying L is an L, but you keep taking it out of context. You were at home. These were your fans. This is your crowd. This is not some neutral site game. You're not on the road. This is your home. This is where you live. Anybody that plays football or watch football will tell you that gives you an advantage. Now, if you lose at home by 3, last second field goal, 2-point conversion, sure. But when you get beat convincingly by 22 points in your house, there's nothing else to talk about to me. I don't want to see you against another big-time team because you didn't show up.
Also,
so yeah, it matters.
Okay, if we're going to talk about context, then let's talk about context.
Lord, brother.
Ohio State lost, yes, but we lost to the number 2 team in the country. Alabama lost to teams that are barely going to be in the top 15. Okay, so
You didn't
Tennessee
hang.
lost
You didn't.
by how much to
Wait,
South
wait,
Carolina, and LSU lost by to Texas A&M.
Hold on.
You did not just lose. You didn't hang with the number 2 team. So if you're not even in the same class with the number 2 team, you probably shouldn't be in the top 4. That's what I'm saying.
Also,
Like maybe you're
before
top 10, but you're not top 4.
Also, remember when Alabama lost to Tennessee, they were a top 10 team. When they lost to LSU, LSU was still was just outside of the top 10 team. And let's just put this in perspective. Since you want to say that the Big Ten is the Big Ten and they're just as good and that would blah 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 all the nonsense you keep talking about. Let's just put it into perspective. Alabama has played 6. And I'm an LSU fan, so if I'm speaking up for Alabama, you know there's got to be a problem with it. Alabama has played 6 teams ranked in the top 25 of the college football world. 6. Ohio State played 3, and in the third one got dog walked at home. They walked into their house and peed on in their Cheerios. You just let somebody walk into your crib and disrespect you at home 6-3. You have nothing to say. You have nothing yet. You dropped 77 on Tulsa. You're supposed to drop 77 on Tulsa. You're not supposed to get dog walked at the crib. You are supposed to beat every team that you play in the Big Ten when you're only playing 3 ranked teams. And you want to talk about top 10, you want to talk about whatever, let's just go through real quick and then I'm done. Well, let's just look at who Ohio State has played out of the ranked teams that they've played, okay? So the first ranked game came halfway
Notre
through
Dame.
when they played, the first game of the season, Notre Dame, they beat them by 11. It's a great win. It's a great win to start the season. Clearly, Notre Dame probably shouldn't have been ranked as high because they're not doing so great now. So maybe that was a little recency bias in that case.
They were top 15 just last week. So.
The next one,
they had a good run. They had a good 3-4 game run.
Yeah, then the second one didn't come through halfway through the season to Penn State, who was 13. And then when they are playing,
probably be top 10 this week.
Even still, you're talking about competition and talking about beating people who are in the top. You're talking about Alabama losing to people in the SEC who are also in the top 10 of the league. When you were playing competition that is equal to you, you should lose by 3 points. You should lose by a touchdown. You should not lose by 23.
At home.
Look, here's the thing. If
last comment.
All right. I'll you guys have given your closing statements. I will give mine. Losing by an exorbitant amount, yes, has happened before, and it's happened with other teams previously. Ohio State, yes, lost by 3 scores. I own that. But let's not act like in the SEC championship last year, Georgia didn't lose by 3 scores. They lost by 3 scores. We can talk about, it was a close game. At the end of the day, it's a 3-score loss that the committee let them redeem themselves for. In 2017, you have them apply a criteria that let Alabama get in over Ohio State. And to let Alabama in over Ohio State again this year, they would have to flip that precedent on its head. Honestly, it makes me just so glad that we're going to go to 12 teams and we can open that can of worms at a later date.
Yeah, because then you'll always be able to say that Ohio State is making it because they're always good enough to be almost in the college football playoffs, but they're not good enough to get there to the end. Anyway, keep going, Brad. I know you got more stuff you got to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway. We're probably going to go over an hour. Hang on. My dad wants to ask you a question. Funnymaine, do you have
I do not. Once Cundy got off of there, I'm all out, man. My Birmingham girl Cundy was up there, but that was probably the closest. I'll just say one last thing about last year's Georgia team getting in after losing the SEC championship. And Luke, time traveling Luke, since you're time traveling,
oh my.
Stop me when I get to the team that's better than Georgia, okay? So, Georgia, Bama, Michigan, and Cincinnati got into the playoff, right? Stop me when I get to the team out of the next top 12 that is better than Georgia. Baylor?
No.
Ohio State?
No.
Oklahoma State?
No.
Notre Dame?
No.
State.
You just beat them, so clearly not.
Ole Miss?
No.
Now we're into the 3 and 4 loss teams. So what I'm saying is they created the playoffs aside from to make a lot of money and be in control. They created to put the top 4 teams in there. They determined, like most of the world did, Georgia was still one of the top 10 teams. They gave Bama a game, but Bama was just a better team that night in Atlanta. But fast forward and they won the national championship. But what I'm saying is Georgia deserved to be in there regardless of what happened to the SEC championship because they were one of the top 4 teams in the country last year. You should have knew that because Cincinnati made it. There was nobody that could beat out Cincinnati.
They were undefeated. They deserved a chance to at least be there.
Yeah. If some other teams had really been doing what they needed to do, they wouldn't have been there.
True. Yeah, but they didn't. So, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. All in all of this is a moot point if TCU and USC win.
Agreed.
However, come this time tomorrow, the committee rankings for this week are going to be coming out. And neither Alabama nor Ohio State can add to their resume before the final say is made. I've been listening to everyone, even on ESPN, and we know how much ESPN can, loves the SEC. They have a vested interest in how well the SEC does. And even Paul Feinbaum, Heather Dinich, respected people within the CFP world are saying that Ohio State is over Alabama. They expect the committee to keep Ohio State over Alabama, and I would be inclined to agree with them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You just named like 3 people that I don't respect at all. and then I think the P in ESPN stands for political because, they just say what they need to say to drive and control the narrative so they can sell advertising. Heather Dinich, she's a Bama hater if I ever saw one. Paul Feinbaum is a Saban hater because Saban won't, invite him out to Longhorn for steaks. So he try to steal the dynasty every year. So I don't know, man. They still got Herb Street over there. Herb Street, he'll give you the skinny most of the times. But yeah, you were right. You hit the nail on the head, as I've been saying. If TCU and USC win, that's it. There's nothing to discuss. If one of them should fall, especially USC, now it is coming down to Ohio State or Alabama. And, that big loss is going to come up. If you look at it's a what have you done for me lately league. And I'm telling you, man, Ohio State, if they get in there, it'll be rough.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do because I do think while you see the committee rank the 2 teams this week, nothing can change about those 2 teams, and so it'll probably be the same thing then on Selection Sunday. So I will be watching the selection show tomorrow with great interest.
Well, let me answer your dad's question in the comments. It flashed for a second. What sportcaster do I respect the most? Probably Shannon Sharp. He's not always right, but he always speaks from the heart. He's a country boy like me. He's an HBCU grad like me, and I trust his opinion over a lot of different people on my TV screen. So yeah. I ain't say trust. I value his opinion.
Yeah. Which school did you go to, Funnymaine?
I went to Stillman College in Tuscaloosa.
Man, if I could do life over again, I would have gone to HBCU.
Man, listen.
And PWIs.
What a time. What a time.
Oh boy. Well, this is going to run a lot longer than we thought it was, which is good for you, our viewer. You get to hear so much more football. Aubin, would you do me a favor and pull up the ads for me? All right, so I have to start out with my barber here in Marion, Indiana. Fresh Cuts Barbershop is our one and only sponsor. He can be contacted on the next slide through his website, www.freshcuts.com, freshcutsbarbershop.com. I'm sorry, Caleb. It's not just a haircut, it's an experience. That's me getting done up right. He did it for me today again. I needed the fresh cut before meeting my man Funnymaine, and he delivered. Can I have the next slide? Steve Wood Illustration, here for all your nerdy needs. Does anything from the MCU to Disney to Godzilla. You tell him what you're after, he sends it to you. He does a lot of really good work. It's what I did for Christmas for everybody this year. I got a bunch of Star Wars merch for everybody. But you can contact through him through any of the places that are on there, and he would be happy to do some custom work for you also. Could I have the next slide? That one's all you, Aubin.
All right. So what's up, everybody? Y'all know me by now. I'm not a jock of all trades, but I pull up here every once in a while. I am the co-host of a couple different podcasts. As the co-host with my wife, the Culture Corner podcast. We don't have an episode yet, but we got all the other stuff ready. But it is the converted, formerly known as the Afro Latinos podcast, where we talk about everything from race to culture to sports and TV and movies. And so we've branched out of our one show. I've separated it, divided it, flipped it, turned it around. And so we have got the Culture Corner, where we'll talk about all of our educational, cultural aspects. We have Come On Son, which is my baby, my newest show that is out. It talks about all things sports, TV, all the fun stuff I used to talk about on Afro Latinos. We talk about on Come On Son. Brad was on an episode. I'm hoping that Funnymaine doesn't hate me too much, and we can get him on an episode. So we'll talk about that later. And then, of course, the trivia show, You Think You Know, which is the same as it always has been. So check us out on Facebook, the Culture Corner Podcast. You can find us on all my old episodes on the Afro Latinos Podcast YouTube. I think that's still up there. But our Facebook page is the Culture Corner Podcast. All of our old content is still there, so you can still find it there. You can find us anywhere digital podcasts can be found under the new heading, the Culture Corner Podcast.
And then Rules of the Frame is another friend cast of ours. They do movie reviews. Connor actually is the guy who runs most of it. He is a film professor at Indiana Wesleyan University. He has opened my eyes to many different films that I was not aware of, and now I find myself watching too many movies. My wife gets dragged into those, unfortunately. Good old black and white samurai films. But he joined us on an episode of Random Fandom. You might see him in Smash Popcorn, where we do our movie reviews. And then, yeah, you'll see him there. And then could I have the last slide? 1,000 Wives of Weird is also a movie podcast. They just changed hands recently. It's still Brad, but he's joined by Ian Kiefer. They do all kinds of like B and C list movies and talk about how they got made, why they got made, should they have gotten made, all that kind of fun stuff. And you can find them exclusively on Spotify. Okay, we made it through the ads. Let's take out the trash. First of all,
don't hurt my man's feeling like this. We wouldn't like Funnymaine. We wanted to keep coming around and talk to us. Don't do this to my man like that.
I'm not going to do it to him. I'm just going to say Michael Thomas versus Brian Robinson. Good Lord. I don't think Michael Thomas wants to play football. That's where I'm at. Brian Robinson got shot, tried to come back to practice. They made him wait, and he's still playing this season. Versus Michael Thomas, who said, "Oh, my toe hurts," and he's out for the season. Like, come on, man. Like,
Michael Thomas is just doing what the Saints do. He's just biding his time till he comes to Philly. That's all it is.
Probably.
That's all it is.
Probably.
He just needed stock to go down way low so nobody else wants him. So him and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can come and start running the league for real, for real. That's all it is.
Yeah, you may not be wrong, man, but MT, that's my guy, but it's something been going on with him for the past 2 seasons and all of his cryptic tweets. And I'm about to unfollow him because I never know what any of his tweets mean. He just like will post a picture and then he just left to figure it out. And it's been going on for 2 years. I'm
Hanging out
tired.
with Antonio Brown too much.
So
Yeah,
wait, so
I'm just.
my man, Funnymaine, you forgave Michael Thomas for what he did to Bama in 2014?
I mean, it was a good game, man. They had a squad that year, man. They
We
had
did.
Zeke
We actually did
Elliott.
have a squad. No.
Yeah. So
That's the
you
one
know, if
thing
you
I
don't,
can hang my hat on. Time traveling Luke.
yeah, if you're gonna lose to a team, that's the kind of team that you lose to, but not at home by 22 points.
We bring it back to that. We bring it back to that.
Yeah, but no, man, yeah, shout out to my guy B Rob, man. He's back. He's playing hard. He's a hungry kid. Always been that way since growing up in Tuscaloosa and getting his chance to finally be the guy at Alabama. I don't think people realize how long he actually sat and waited for his chance to shine, man, because he was just like doing garbage duty for 3 years, and then he finally got his chance and came back, and he's earned everything that he's gotten. So shout out to B Rob. MT, you my guy, but yeah, maybe he will be headed to Philly because I don't know what the heck he got going on.
Funnymaine, you got another question for my dad.
Bear Bryant ate golden flake chips. Nick Saban eats little heavy oatmeal cream pies. What is Funnymane's favorite snack during? Oh man, what is my favorite snack? I've gotten a lot more healthier lately. I snack on almonds all the time. Like my wife will tell you, like I got all kind of bags of almonds, and almonds are not cheap either, bro. But I like to snack on the honey roasted, the plain. I put them in my smoothies.
See,
almonds definitely my go-to.
That's how I know you snacking on almonds. That's how I know you got it for me to be able to get that.
Don't do it.
I'm not counting nobody's pockets, but if almonds is a snack, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more. Let's take out the trash. Funnymaine might help me with this one. Jimbo Fisher, where's all that talk, young man? Where is all that talk? You can't even go bowling. I couldn't even call you up and go bowling with you. Where's all that talk from this season?
I think Jimbo was his own worst enemy this season. I think he just got distracted by too much off the field stuff. And you know, his anger came like with the Saban thing. You know, looking back on it, man, he could have played that differently. Like he could have handled it differently. You saw even Saban tried to quell it down and not talk about it a lot, and still tried to give Dion and Jimbo the credit because he knew he was just talking to donors behind closed doors. That video was never supposed to get out. But Jimbo took it personal, and you know now everybody's just on his case, and then you have a non-bowl eligible season, and everybody's talking about your recruiting class. You get this weird victory over LSU. Dude, like just stay focused, man. If you just stay focused, worry about coaching. Don't try to get into these squabbles with people. Stay focused on what you're paid to do.
For sure. Let's do a quick flashbang. If Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers were to suddenly retire after this season, would you take Jordan Love or Blaine Gabbert? You only have one sentence to respond.
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love. He balled.
That's
loss,
good.
but
He balled. That's a good sentence. I like it.
I haven't liked Blaine Gabbert since he was at Missouri, so I ain't going with Blaine.
Ain't he retired? Didn't he retire?
Well,
I thought he did.
Yeah, he retired. He ain't even in the NFL no more. He's retired.
How about Kyle Trask then? If I said Kyle Trask.
No. Kyle has never impressed me. At Florida, nowhere. No.
So we're rolling with Jordan Love. I like it. All right. Well, we have finally reached the meat of the episode. We are at our NCAA Newswire. We've already kind of talked about the Final Four. I'm not even going to predict the Final Four. Let's just skip on to the next part. Can Michigan run the table without Blake Corum?
That's their running back, right? That got hurt.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dude, from what I saw last Saturday, how can you go against them? Like they
I heard
look complete as
I
a
heard they beat
team.
some team 23 at home. That's wild.
Was it 22 or 23? I've been saying 22. If it's
I don't know.
23, I want to get it
It was
accurate.
too many. That's what it was.
Yeah.
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 But
Just keep
I,
keep piling on. I'll remember. Um.
but I think when you got a legit O line and you got a legit defense, usually you can do running back by committee. And to be honest, that's kind of what Bama has been the past couple weeks since Gibbs is dealing with something with his ankle. But you're seeing Jace McClellan get a lot of touches and some touchdowns. And I forgot who else scored. His mom hit me up because I didn't mention him in the video. I gotta write these things down when I'm running back. I feel so bad.
It wasn't
But yeah,
Roydell, was it?
Roydell Williams. That's who it was. Yeah. But man, his mom messaged me, said that was my baby that scored that third touchdown. So you need to fix that. Miss Williams, you got it.
I am less optimistic about Michigan's chances without Blake Corum because I think in playing Michigan after Blake Corum went out, Ohio State made a fatal mistake, one of many. Let's talk about it. When it became clear that Jim Harbaugh put the ball in the hands of J.J. McCarthy and was like, the quarterback, JJ, you are going to be the one to lead us to victory. Ohio State's defense did not adjust. They did not say, oh, you're going to give the ball to JJ? Okay, we'll pull back, play coverage, and dare you to run the ball, as opposed to what you had been doing previously. There was no adjustment, which is why you saw J.J. McCarthy beat Ohio State deep on like 3 or 4 big, huge plays. I'm not sure Georgia, I'm not sure another defense in a playoff makes that same mistake. And so if they are like, okay, we're going to play back, we're going to make you run the ball without Blake Corum, I believe it becomes very, very difficult for Michigan. And they could very easily, they could run the table, but I think it is extremely difficult without Blake Corum.
I don't know. Donovan Edwards looked pretty good the other day. I don't know that they need Blake Corum. It would be nice if they had Blake Corum. I don't know if they need it. They may be okay without it.
Yeah, and I tweeted 2-3 days ago. Listen, Michigan looks legit. I can't name 2 people on their team though. I think they're just a good team. They don't have superstars. And I think the media may have been trying to make Corum that superstar, but like I said, their running back still look solid. I would, love to look at the numbers and see. And by the way, that's definitely my favorite Jordan, the Bread 11. I feel like that's the quintessential Jordan. If you don't have the Bread 11s in your collection, you don't have Jordans. That's how I feel. I think I got him back here somewhere. Maybe. Yep. There you go. Got to have the Bread 11 in your collection. Got to. That's the quintessential Jordan.
I wear a size 12, by the way, in case you was.
Oh, you can't get in these. I'm 10, baby.
That's okay. I'm not worried about getting in those. I'm just, Christmas coming up, my birthday coming up. I'm just saying. Since we family, you know what I'm saying? And we both Johnsons, we family out here. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Oh my God.
I got you, cuz. I got you.
All right. Well, there were a couple hires, and I want to talk about them. Luke Fickell is leaving Cincinnati. Never thought that was going to happen. And going to Wisconsin. Is it good or bad? How do we feel about it?
Bad because
I think it's really good for Wisconsin. Yeah. I couldn't believe a lot more teams weren't trying to get him, like especially after the run that he had at Cincy last year. I surely thought he was going to be up out of there, but he stayed. There was something about Cincinnati that he wanted to stay around for another year, and now he's going to Wisconsin. That's a great hire for them, man. Real good hire.
It's a really good hire. I was saying that I think Luke Fickell would actually work really well at Ohio State. I am this close to saying Ryan Day might need to go very soon. If he can't find a way to win a game without Urban Meyer's boys, then that says something. And I think there's something to be said for knowing the culture, understanding that the game is the game that you get judged on. And Luke Fickell, as an Ohio State boy, I think he understands that culture, and you need someone who understands that culture. Jim Tressel understood that culture. That's why we dominated when Jim Tressel was coach. Urban Meyer was an Ohio boy, and he understood that culture. That's why we dominated when Urban Meyer.
That's why he kicked his kickers every week. Yes.
Judas. Ryan Day is not was not raised in that. And true, he was under Urban Meyer for a long time. But what we have seen is that without Urban Meyer's kids, he hasn't won the game that matters. And that's important. And that's huge. And so I think to have a coach that gets that, I might be tempted to make a switch. So I would have loved to have had Luke Fickell, but I wish him all success at Wisconsin.
I would just say y'all do things differently than in Ohio. To me, a good coach is a good coach. Our current coach at Alabama, I don't even know if he had been to the state of Alabama before.
Can we just agree that Nick Saban is a different bird? He's just not human. He's an alien who has this immense knowledge of college football and all
best alien in college football.
But then what I was going to say is the coaches before him, they all had some ties to the college. Mike Shula was a graduate and a quarterback. The rest of the guys, I think they had some. Yeah, they had a tie to Bear Bryant, and people knowing the culture only worked out for us in 1992 under Gene Stallings. Dubose was a Bear guy, and so we went the opposite way. We was like, we need somebody that can't even spell Bear. You got out and got Nick Saban. So I get it. You want somebody that knows the culture, but in my experience, and then y'all had a lot of success with Urban Meyer. He's the Youngstown guy, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if that carries a lot of weight nowadays. Is what I'm saying.
I can understand that. I can understand. No, it's like I look at Nick Saban and I go, I don't understand. It's brilliant. Kudos to him. But no, it's like I'm thinking it's like Ryan Day's seat has to be hot right now. He's got people all over social media clamoring for his job.
To be fair, they said the same about Harbaugh too. It took Harbaugh how many years before he beat Ohio State?
True. Yeah. That is true. That is true. I don't know if Ohio State though has that kind of patience. When you've got people like Mike Vrabel that you could give a call to, who's the coach at the Tennessee Titans. You had Luke Fickell there for a moment. Maybe just a small adjustment is needed. Maybe you need Kevin Wilson doing more of the play calling than Ryan Day. I don't know, but I know that a change is desperately needed.
I think what I'm hearing out of you is I've been admiring your glasses since we've been on here because there's some cool looking glasses. I just didn't realize how scarlet and gray they were. And it's a lot of arrogance about your program slipping out of your mouth. Like, oh, we can just call Vrabel. We got all these guys. Man, it just doesn't work like that. Like, I think Ohio State is a great program, but losing, there's a lot of arrogance to have lost to Michigan 2 years in a row. Is all
one of those games by 2 scores and the other one by 3. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. We needed to get the rivalry back to where it was, and we were beating them into the ground a little too much. We needed to give them 1 or 2 things to kind of get the rivalry back to where it was.
Baby, that don't work in the state of Alabama. No.
Don't y'all ever call Bama arrogant again around Luke. He is taking the cake.
Woo, I was going to say, if that's how your rivalry works, you can't make that happen in Alabama. No way. You can hear no Alabama fans say, Auburn can win it for a year or 2.
Well, the thing is, Auburn beats you every now and again just to keep it that way. When you beat them 8 times in a row, then it's like, then it becomes, it's just kind of whatever.
Now we always have trouble down at Jordan Hare. It's a tough place to play. Any road game in the SEC is going to be tough. Like as LSU and Texas A&M showed you, as South Carolina, Tennessee.
I mean, this year has
you.
told me that. Yeah, no, I feel like the SEC cannibalized itself quite a bit more than it usually does this year.
Nah, they've been saying that about us. We beat each other up, but it's just a team that's. Yeah, it's a top heavy league, man. Bama, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Like these are good teams year in and year out. Even Arkansas had a run. Kentucky has been a 10-win season, a 10-win team recently. Like it's a very tough league to win.
It's true. Let's talk about the hiring that I had to throw on here because I got excited. Because hopefully this means Cadillac will find somewhere better to coach. Hugh Freeze to Auburn. Cadillac, they retained him as the running backs coach. Do we like this hire?
I'm not saying Hugh Freeze won't win some games. He probably will. But I've been very vocal about it on all my social media. I hate the way that they drag Cadillac along. And I can't think of another time in my lifetime where the interim got so much hype and heralded as a hero. It's one thing if the fans do it, but when your official social media accounts are doing it, that's very weird. Cadillac, oh, you're so great, you're a hero, we love you, this and that, knowing dang on well you're looking for his replacement and you're not going to give him
It's just wrong.
Yeah, what surprised me is, we got the news of the Nebraska coaching job, and we'll get to that just in a bit. Then came news of what happened at Auburn, and what surprised me was me, who's kind of been keeping my ear a little bit to the grapevine. You kept hearing just the name over and over again, Deion Sanders, and people were thinking that he was going to end up at one of those two places, and now it's not neither of them. And so I'm just kind of here scratching my head going, I wonder what happened to all of that.
Deion is too black to be coaching at these. I'm sorry, this is gonna be anyway. He's too black to be at these PWIs coaching football, man. He belongs in the HBCU with Jackson State or any of the other ones to recruit. I mean, because he's gonna get those top recruits. I mean, he's going to get people to play for him because the players in the NFL, the players in the NBA, the players in the majority of these professional leagues are the majority African American, and they want to play for somebody who understands them. And Deion Sanders is that guy for so many reasons. You just see Jackson State. Like I love watching Jackson State on Twitter and seeing just the locker room and Deion. And I mean, that's just, we give each other life, and that's just how it is. So I might be out of pocket for that, but that's where I'm at. That's where I'm living. That's where I'm at.
That's really one of the things people haven't considered. Everybody thinks Deion is ready to get some big job. Like I don't know if I'm the only one on the set that's ever been to Jackson State campus multiple times. Dude, he wouldn't miss that atmosphere. Like the bands, the just the blackness of that campus and just being able to be himself, and they got rappers walking him out the tunnel. Like he's the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi right now. His kids are enrolled at the school, they're having a blast. He's getting great recruits in there. He played at Florida State D1 school, so he knows that vibe. And now he's looking at this vibe. He's like, I'm more like this. He's not only that, he's an HBCU graduate. He didn't graduate from Florida State. He graduated, ended up finishing from Talladega College, which is only 45 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I do think that he'll eventually go to a Power 5, and it's going to come down to one thing. He's got to get his assistants paid. Now, he may be getting some money and some endorsements, but he's not going to keep continually be able to have great assistants if he can't get them, that big level money. You know, he'll get his. He's never been a poor guy, but I think that's the main thing. And he spoke about it not too long ago, but he's got to find money for his assistants, and he's got to have assistants to get his players to the next level. So I think that'll ultimately be the reason that he goes. But right now, that man, his family, his kids, they are having a ball at Jackson State. It's a fun campus. It's that HBCU atmosphere. Jackson State is it. Trust me.
That's cool. That makes a lot of sense too as to why he wouldn't go anywhere. Yeah, I got nothing to add to that.
I got to take y'all down to Jackson State. Well, I got uncles that graduated from there. I got friends. I got exes that graduated from Jackson State. I'm dead serious, man. I need to take y'all down to the Boombox Classic when they play Southern or when they play Alcorn, and just let y'all really experience that swag atmosphere, man. It's beyond. Now, it is a black thing, but once you there, you family. Trust me. You'll be
put it like this. Cuz you ain't said nothing but a word. You feel me?
Yeah. Y'all should come on, man, for real.
I'd do it. I would.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that was convincing. Anyways, let's scooch on over to overrated. Alvin, I got to do it. I'm sorry, brother. I apologize ahead of time.
Uh-oh.
LS who? What was that, man?
Don't do that, because that same LS who is the one that beat y'all. So come on now, get up off.
LSU handed you an L. Put some
respect on it.
We lost to a winning team. Y'all done lost to the toilet bowl winners.
As Luke
what does that make you?
Said an L's an L. That's the only time I'm agree with him right now. Hey, just put some respect on it. That's all I'm asking for. I'll take the L.
You got 3 L's.
Overrated is absolutely right. They should not have been ranked as high as they were, but they did beat 2 top 10 teams, one of which happened when they were undefeated themselves. In back-to-back weeks, mind you, which is why they went up so high. It was 2 back-to-back wins that they weren't absolutely not supposed to have. And so that's why they got ranked as high as they did. But now put some, because LS who is the same team that beat y'all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I got to give LSU and Brian Kelly their credit, man. They overachieved this year.
Yes.
By every stretch of the imagination. Keep in mind, half of the nation left them for dead after the Florida State game. You know, the opening week, and they were like, "Oh well, looks like it's gonna be a rebuilding year." Them kids kept fighting. Yeah, they kept fighting. They kept playing. They got the win over Bama. They got smashed by Tennessee. So the season was up and down, but I think they were still trying to find their identity. But when I look at it overall, 3 losses aside, I think they overachieved absolutely with a first-year head coach.
I agree.
And they still in the SEC champ. They could still beat Georgia.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine
the chaos?
I can.
Luke's world right there.
Yeah, but I think Georgia is solidly in no matter what happens. It'd have to be like a 56-0 whooping.
A 22-point loss at home might do it to him. I'm just
It wasn't me, Luke. I'm off.
No, Funnymaine. We're good. Me and Auburn are gonna have a chat after this episode is done.
Sorry.
I don't want to be involved. Y'all have at it.
Yeah. So if they beat Georgia, I think Georgia's still solidified into the playoffs. I think they're definitely one of the top 4 teams. But it would just raise more eyebrows for LSU. Like, what the heck kind of season was this? It's already weird, but that would make it even weirder.
Yeah. Speaking of weird, overrated, Nebraska hiring Matt Rule for 8 years.
That man just knows how to get a paycheck, bro.
Yeah. I'll give it to him. He did a good job with Temple. He did a good job with Baylor. But then he crapped the bed at the next level. Now, this is either going to be a Nick Saban story where he crapped the bed at the next level and came back and won everything, or this is going to be he's the same coach that coached the Carolina Panthers and can't figure anything out. I said this 2 weeks ago. I don't know if y'all listened to the past episodes, but I said no no kid, unless you're from Nebraska, is really out there. There's nobody from California that's going to say, I'm going to go play for Nebraska. There's no Bryce Young that's going to come out of the woodworks and say, I want to go play for Nebraska. It's just not going to happen. Like, when you sign yourself to 8 years, he's going to be fired in 4. Like, that's just how this is, because nobody grows up saying, I want to be a Cornhusker. What's a Cornhusker? Nobody knows what that is.
Because I'm pretty sure that word is racist. I don't know. It just feel like I feel like if somebody called me a Cornhusker, we're definitely scrapping. You know what I'm saying? It definitely is not, but it's one of those things that you probably just don't want to hear somebody call you. So that's probably what it is.
Yeah, and then me being the elder statesman, I do remember, Nebraska being one of the teams, with Tommy Frazier and all those guys. They had some great teams and coaches, but yeah, they've been dissolvent for the past 20 years. So to young kids, they probably have no juice. It'll be interesting to see if they can get them there. But I mean, if PJ can get them to come play in Minnesota, Kansas State can still recruit and win. Maybe they can go to Nebraska. You sell that schedule like, hey, you're going to play Ohio State. You're going to play Michigan. You're going to play all these guys. So maybe there's a chance.
Maybe.
I got a question, but I shouldn't ask it. I shouldn't put your business.
No, now you should. You absolutely should now.
Now, let me ask you a question. And you got followers on here watching, but I'm going to just ask this. How many times you toured in Nebraska?
Never.
That's all I'm saying. Enough said right there.
Have I even driven through Nebraska?
Ow.
Would you have known if you had driven through Nebraska?
Hey, that's all I gotta say. That's it right there.
Oh gosh. And could I have you pull up the other slide for me?
Oh snap. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I got a second one in there. I lost all my control on everything when I lost my computer, so Aubin is my hands and my angel right now.
That's what I'm here for.
He's gonna get me through the technological devil.
Yeah, no. Sometimes technology is one of those things where you either love it or you hate it.
Oh, maybe it'll come.
There it is.
All right. We are on to Jock, Paper, Scissors. You got to pick one, and you got to give me a reason why. The first one, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, or Christian McCaffrey. You have to trade for one of these guys right now. You are a GM for your favorite team. You got to trade for one of these guys. Who are you trading for and why?
Derrick Henry, because he's Derrick Henry. You don't even have to explain it.
I'm going calf.
He can't stay healthy enough to survive a season.
Yeah, but hey, I'll take my chances. Now Henry's my guy, and I got him on my fantasy squad. But Christian McCaffrey, he's a different animal out the backfield. Sometimes in the slot. I've seen this man play in the slot. He's a weapon. So I'm gonna go with Calf.
Yeah, no. The thing I'm gonna go Calf too, because Calf can go any direction, north, south, east, and west, up, down, and be completely and utterly dynamic.
Left and right.
If you can get Derrick Henry going side to side, he's going to have problems. So,
yeah, but that dude's legs are about the size of my torso, and I'm a big guy. That dude is just strong for no reason, and at least he stays healthy throughout a whole season.
No, it's true.
He's built from vibranium. That's why.
Yeah.
Because Christian McCaffrey, I'm surprised
he's out of glass sometimes.
The one injured. This man just can't stay healthy. His legs is the problem. That's what I'm most worried about. And you're running back, you need your legs. Like, you're a running back more than anything. That's your position. You need the legs to survive a season. I don't trust him to do it.
Yeah, he's not a big stature guy, man, but he's a weapon. So I'll take my chances.
Yeah, I think I might too.
I got to take Derrick Henry. That man is just the most mobile tree trunk I have ever seen. And it doesn't matter if he goes left to right or not. He can go straight, and you're not going to stop him.
That's the
Josh
problem.
Norman couldn't stop him either.
Did everybody watch Wakanda Forever?
Yeah,
I have. Yes,
because Derrick Henry running through you is like when Namor punched a hole straight through M'Baku's chest. That is what it's like getting hit by Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Mbaku sitting there, ooh, and laid out.
Yeah, he got
from that man. That's what it is.
Spoilers, I guess. Sorry
I
if
guess
nobody
so,
has seen
yeah.
it yet.
Go see the movie.
If you haven't seen it by now, that's a you problem. That's been out for 2 weeks.
Just make sure, for those of you who are planning to go see it, go to the bathroom before you get in the movie.
It's long.
Yes.
It's a longer one.
Yes.
I was actually surprised at kind of how long it was.
And bring a box of tissues while you're at it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let me have the next slide, please.
Oh, I forgot I was doing something.
You're good. Okay. So the committee has to choose today. You're going to pick between these three teams who gets in and why out of these three. Let's say TCU loses. They don't talk about Ohio State no more because they lost. These are the three teams you have to pick from to be in at 4, and you're the committee. Committee chooses who and why.
Why is Clemson even there?
I don't know.
Who are the top 3?
I had this up too early.
Yeah. So I'm guessing. Are you saying that USC is okay? So I'm trying to think of who the top 3 are, and then we're filling this 4th spot. Because
so let's say
USC is an obvious right now. If they went out.
Let's say they're a 2-loss team. Everybody's 2 losses, and they need one to get in. Who gets in?
Oh.
So
if all 3 of these teams are 2 loss, then I'm taking Bama.
So we're just
say it again.
We're just changing what's actually real in life, though. I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know we could just shoot. If LSU didn't lose 3 games, let's put them in there. Why we just changing? We just
3 games. 3 games. I'm talking about 2.
Yeah, but we're just changing stuff. USC is the only 1-loss team in there. So
no,
if we're just going by schedule, I know you're saying but if it's not, if didn't lose 3 games, they'd be right. Like I don't know why we're changing. You're changing the narrative just for fun.
I think we should have just did Bama, Ohio State. If if one of the 2, USC or TCU lose next week, because I think that's what the conversation is going to come down to.
All right,
I agree.
Let's do it. So Alabama, Ohio State, who gets in?
Ohio State.
I'm going Bama
because they didn't get dog walked at home by 22.
That's it.
Hey,
that's a bad last impression to leave.
4 points versus 23.
First 5 weeks. First 5 weeks of the season versus the last, when everybody is supposed to be the most dominant they're going to be.
Yeah. And if they get in at the 4th spot and they look like that at home versus Michigan, I don't even want to think what they might look like versus Georgia on a neutral field. Like it could get bloody. And I know as an Ohio State fan, you probably just want to get in there and roll the dice. No, I'd be concerned about them. So, and to be honest, I'd be concerned about Bama. They have not been a consistent team this year. So even if they do slide in, like it's not we just got it in the back. No, I'm concerned. Like I never know week to week what version of Alabama is going to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That being said, when they're good, they're really good. When they're streaky, they're really freaking streaky. But even when they're streaky, you still can't beat them. Nobody has beat them in regulation yet. So they're bad is everybody else is good. Nobody else could have that many turnovers and sacks and take that Tennessee team down to the last second.
It's true. It's very true. That our bad is still somebody else's good.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to leave it open for closing statements on that one. Is everybody good on this argument?
I think so.
I just got to check. I got to make sure this time.
We've reiterated it so many times. People are getting bored now.
That's fair. Well, thank you for joining us, Funnymaine. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around with us for so long. And we will see you another week, maybe with Funnymaine. We'll find out later. See you guys.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man.